While the songs on this record are mostly hits, the production is so unnecessarily loud that I'm forced to put Marauder last. It's frustrating because there are some real amazing tunes underneath the haze. Just make sure you pop an Advil before you increase the volume, as a headache is almost guaranteed to arise. Interpol is not a bad album. No, not at all. It's a good album, but it's a clear step down from Our Love to Admire, with its emphasis on atmosphere missing the mark more often than I wish it did. The highlights are strong, and for a lesser band this would be a very solid release, but this is Interpol, so it's second worst. Some idiots online are claiming this album is boring, which I don't understand. Sure, it's one of their slower albums, but songs like Mr. Credit, Grand Hotel, and Big Shot City most definitely have energy. I was happily surprised by this record, as the pre-release singles didn't grab my attention. However, in the context of the album, sound fantastic. Front to back, a great record. The first album, post Carlos D, is a step up from the previous affair. In many respects, it's the closest they would ever get to the first two albums, which is good and bad. Good because those first two albums are pure flames, but not so good because they're missing the incredible bassist who made those albums pop off a bit harder. Regardless, there's enough heat and energy here to make it my number 4. It's full of catchy songs. What else can one ask for? The sole major label release from Interpol stands out not only for being their most immaculately produced, but also for making the keyboard or piano, whatever it is, a prominent instrument throughout the runtime. It's a bit left field from the first two records, but that's not a bad thing, as they push their sound further on this LP. Not as many iconic tracks as the first two records, but by no means bad. A strong third for Our Love to Admire. Many parts of my brain want to put this at 1, and I'll probably regret the decision at some point in the future. But at this exact moment, ANTICS is 2. Their most accessible and pop-oriented release, ANTICS does the incredible job of expanding on the debut's beauty in a way that stays loyal to their sound while still pushing their identity into new territories, an all-time classic. This album is considered by many to be a top 10 record of the 2000s, and I totally see why. Turn on the Bright Lights invites you to a sinister world where disco rhythms and diabolical lyrics reign supreme. Unfortunately, much like The Strokes, Interpol made such a perfect debut record that it all but destroys their chance of improving their quality on subsequent releases. Starting at a peak this high is unfair. Regardless, I'm so glad we had this peak.